Today's World Traveler is bringing us to Italy. Hawaii Geographic Society has brought you to Italy many times in World Traveler. It's really just about our favorite country in the world to visit, and we often go with groups of travelers from Hawaii. So come along on another visit, and we're going to show you some different aspects of this wonderful country. We're starting out in Rome, and then we'll take you up to Florence and on to Venice. Arriving at Fiumicino Airport, there's always a welcoming committee out there waiting for their friends to arrive, and we have a private transfer bus always waiting to take us into the city. The airport's about a 40-minute drive, assuming there's not much traffic, and there usually isn't much traffic. During the tour, we travel by train from one city to the next, but occasionally a bus comes in handy to get you around, and before you know it, we have arrived in the heart of the city at the Campo de Fiori. We'll take you back here a couple of times in the program. It's just a few blocks from our hotel, and around the corner is a terrific gelateria, the ice creams of Italy. Here's the typical street fountain. You put your finger over the bottom of the spout, and the water shoots up through a little hole in the top. So it's real convenient and hygienic and cool and refreshing. Of course, you can drink the tap water in Europe. Throughout Europe, it's no problem at all. In your hotel rooms and in the restaurants, although there they usually serve you bottled water that they charge you for. Maybe $1.50 or $2 for a big bottle. And the fresh pasta, one of the great things about Italy. Fettuccine with porcini mushrooms. That was at one of our favorite little spots, a restaurant called Tosca. Walking down Via Giubanari, we're taking a little orientation walk. This is our first day. We've just arrived and heading to one of the great spots in the city, the Piazza Navona. Our guide Judy takes us on a walk. She's a local guide who knows the area extremely well and all the history. Tells us about the statues and the fountains and this beautiful Piazza Navona. This is the Fountain of the Moors. It was designed in part by Bernini, the greatest of Italian Baroque sculptors. He also designed this, the Fountain of the Four Rivers, with an Egyptian obelisk almost hovering in midair above this fountain. The beautiful small church of Pace, Santa Maria della Pace, with a portico designed by Pietro da Cortona. Then we cross the busy street, Corso Vittorio Emanuele, and into another church. This is San Luigi de Franceschi. It's the French church in Rome, particularly notable for these paintings by Caravaggio. The bold, dramatic use of light and shadows is the hallmark of the style of this really important Baroque painter. Caravaggio created these three masterpieces for this church, and they've been hanging in this small side chapel ever since they were completed back in the late 1600s. And just one block over is the greatest building in Rome to come down to us from antiquity that's still preserved with its roof intact. The Pantheon, and out front we heard a gypsy band. Wonderful music of a Hungarian type from Central Europe. There's often some kind of entertainment in the little piazza out front of the Pantheon, but that was a very elaborate little musical group. And a block over, we found more music. This time in the Church of San Ignazio, a splendid Baroque church built during the Counter-Reformation and designed and decorated by Pozzo, who painted this elaborate three-dimensional mural up on the ceiling. It's trompe-l'oeil, trick the eye, gives you this fantastic illusion. You have to really strain your neck there to take it in, and we had a chance to sit down and relax and listen to the music. concerts in this church very often in the evening. You pay a small admission fee, maybe $10 or $20 to go in and listen to a classical music concert. But in this case, we just stumbled into a rehearsal. Serendipity strikes again. So it was free and sounded wonderful. There's St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits. This is one of the main churches of the Jesuit order. One of the most delightful fountains in Rome is the Fountain of the Turtles. The locals hang out here in the Piazza Fontana del Tortuga. And it's a great spot for a group picture. Everybody puts their cameras down and gets a shot, and then we got to reclaim our proper camera at the end. Fountain of the Turtles, one of the cute little places. It's in the Jewish district in Rome. And a few blocks over is Il Gesù, yet another church. This is the main church of the Jesuit order. And it too has some really marvelous ceiling murals. We're showing you these churches that we visit on our tour, not as a religious statement, but as an artistic statement. The wealth of the society was poured into creating the decorations for these churches, especially during the Counter-Reformation in the late 1600s. The Catholic Church was eager to retain its worshipers, keep them away from the Protestant Church. Back out in the streets, passing the big monument to Victor Emmanuel, and we came on a little rock band rehearsal. Posing out in front of the Forum. There's a lot going on in Italy in the summertime, a lot of street festivals, outdoor music performances, and then into the great Colosseum. This is the largest building from ancient Rome that's still standing, pretty well preserved. Parts of it were pulled down to use as a quarry, but there's the great facade of the Colosseum. It was a stadium that would hold 50,000 spectators for gladiatorial combat. A very peaceful corner of the city is Sant'Andrea della Frate. The church cloister here is such a harmonious design. Makes a nice respite from the busy city streets. And visiting yet another church, Santa Maria sopra Minerva. Side chapel painted by Filippino Lippi in the Italian Baroque style, very colorful, very beautiful works of art. This church was built during the Gothic period. It's really the only significant Gothic church in all of Rome, and it was decorated throughout the Renaissance and on into the Baroque period. It contains a statue by Michelangelo and some important tombs inside. Going out the back door, passing by the Museum of Rome. That's the City Museum of Rome. They focus particularly on Roman history of the 1600s and 1700s. On to our first dinner of the tour. We're still in our first day, ending with a feast at the restaurant called Alara. This is a great spot. It's just near the Spanish Steps, and they have a fabulous buffet. It's an antipasto buffet and only costs about $9 for this buffet. All you can pile on your plate one time around, and that's plenty. They've got a wide variety of dishes. There's meatballs, there's fish, they have little squids and lots of vegetables, pastas.
Yummy, yummy.
And of course you can stick around for some dessert if you've still got an appetite after this wonderful meal. A complete meal on one plate. What a dish. Alara is just to the right of the Spanish Steps. As you're standing in front of the Spanish Steps, you go around the corner past American Express and you will find it there. They've been in business for many years, but here's a tip. Get there relatively early for dinner. They open at 6 o'clock. And get there between 6:30 and 7 or 7:30, and that way you don't have to wait online for a table. They're so popular. Back passing the Pantheon in the evening and continuing on a few blocks over back to the Campo de Fiori we showed you at the beginning of the program. Now we've come back in the evening to show you the other side of the Campo de Fiori. This little piazza is the heart of the old part of Rome, one of the most popular lively centers to gather at night. There's music, entertainers, there's terrific cafes, bars. You can come in for just a drink or a complete meal in one of these restaurants around the square.
Ciao.
Locals hanging out every night, just putting on a show for themselves. During the Renaissance, this really was the center of town, the Campo de Fiori. It's always been an open square. Originally, it was a field of flowers. That's what the name means, Campo de Fiori. And now, as you can tell, it's a very hip gathering spot. Statue of Giordano Bruno in the center that these folks are sitting on. Bruno, unfortunately, was burned at the stake for being a heretic who sided with Galileo in the great debate over the sun rotating around the earth. And the locals here are quite friendly. Most of the young people speak a little English, so you can go ahead and strike up a conversation. No problem. They'd be happy to talk to you. The action continues right up through midnight. In the morning, the Campo de Fiori is a vegetable market. At noon, it's a square that serves lunch in the restaurants. And then just next door is the Piazza Farnese, and this evening they were having an outdoor silent movie with live music. This is like the old-fashioned days back in the 1920s or 30s. Before the talkies. It's all part of the summer festival in Rome. For over a month, there's lots of activities like this happening in the outdoor campos and piazzas.